All right, folks, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a great day. Looking forward to chatting with everybody. Um, for those who are looking at the screen and see the promo for Knowledge 25, if you haven't registered yet, there are still some tickets available. You should definitely check that out. It can truly be a life-changing event for you. My name's Sean Hammer. I'm part of the product management team here at ServiceNow for our ITSM business unit, and we are going to get right into our topic today, and we'll talk about what's new for digital end user experience in the Yokohama release. I'm joined by a few of my colleagues. Eleanor Branch will be doing a demo on just a little bit, and I know you're all looking forward to that. And we also have Jitu Singh, Tony Campanelli, Lindsay Gonzalez, and Chris Elliott standing by to answer your very, very difficult questions. And we look forward to getting into those with you and going through all the deets. Couple housekeeping items. This is a virtual webinar. Um, when you have a question, please use the Q&A tool rather than the chat. That way, if we can't answer your question live during the session, we can follow up with you afterward and still get your question answered. We'll post a recording of this session to our community site so you can come back to it in the future if you want to review anything that we cover. Finally, please provide your feedback in the survey that opens in your web browser immediately after the session. Your feedback powers our decisions about our product and how we conduct our webinars. Your voice matters to us. While I don't intend to make any forward-looking statements, this webinar is covered by our Safe Harbor Notice. While we're likely only showing you capabilities that exist today, please do not use information gathered in this webinar as your sole source for any purchasing decisions. With that, let's get to it. Today's session is part of the Live on ServiceNow webinar series, curated events to keep you updated on our latest capabilities, get information, get implementation pro tips, and connect you with a vast community of ServiceNow practitioners, administrators, and leaders. Check out the upcoming event schedule by scanning the QR code on your screen or use the link in the chat. G2, paste the link, would you? We have another session for DEX on April 3rd and another following that on April 29th, and we'll have sessions every month going forward on using DEX, implementing DEX, getting the most out of DEX, deploying DEX, on and on. And so this is an ongoing journey. Please check out those additional sessions, register early, and of course, give us your feedback. Let us know what you want to hear, see, and the information we can share to best help you on your journey. Our agenda today has four main topics to kickstart your digital experience management journey and highlight the newest capabilities in DEX. We'll start with a very brief overview of what DEX is as a practice and follow that by reviewing ServiceNow's DEX capabilities and the outcomes it can help you achieve. After that, Eleanor will give a live demo of the solution so you can see it in action. I know this is really why you're all here. After the demo, we'll have an open Q&A, and along the way, we'll have a couple polls to help us better understand you and where you're coming from. And quick reminder for those that entered before or just now, please use the Q&A tool to ask questions, not the chat. It'll be much easier for us to track those and get the answers out to you orderly and even after the session. All right, so with that, let's kick off that first poll. And this is just a baseline for us to know where you're coming from and know what you've seen before and see who our audience is. So I'm going to ask everybody to answer this. We're targeting 100% participation. There are 110 attendees on right now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And your feedback, again, let us know if you've seen us before. Talk to us about DEX. If you haven't, if you're using a DEX tool at your company, all of this helps us understand how better to run these webinars and give you the best information we can. Great response quickly, guys. 88% coming back in. Really appreciate that. 90, we're getting close here very quickly. All right. Another couple of seconds and we'll close this out. Faster you click, the faster we close it. Because I know you don't want to do the poll. You want to hear what we have to say.
Almost there. 10 more seconds, then. All right, so I think we are good.
Yep,
Sure,
yep,
noted.
critical. I think
Thanks
we've
so
got a
much.
critical
Yeah.
mass there. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate your feedback. This is very helpful for us. So 14% have attended a previous DEX webinar. This is great to know. 86%, this is new for you. So I hope we cover what you need at the end. Please tell us what you got from this and if you wanted something different or expected something else. And it looks like about 18% of the respondents are using, your companies are using a tool. That's great to hear. So I'm going to roll right on forward and let's get into what this is. So in the next few slides, I'll give a brief overview. Eleanor will demonstrate, and we'll talk about the new capabilities. Digital employee experience management is a practice. It's also known as DEX in the marketplace, and it's the process of monitoring and improving how employees interact with technology in the workplace. The goal is to make the use of technology as efficient and productive and pleasant as possible. And to achieve this, DEX identifies and addresses issues that employees have when using their organization's software, hardware, or cloud-based tools, as well as gaining an understanding of how they feel about their experience. ServiceNow's digital end user experience solution is also DEX for short. That wasn't a mistake. And it's a capability exclusive to the ServiceNow platform. And when I say exclusive, I mean specifically that our DEX capability doesn't support other experience management platforms or provide data to them and doesn't ingest data from them. It's only available on the ServiceNow platform. And what we're doing with this is we're delivering outcomes for several different personas. For end users, we're removing barriers to productivity. If DEX works perfectly, end users don't even know it exists. All they know is that their device doesn't crash, their software doesn't crash, they're not interrupted by their technology. For IT leaders, it reduces operating costs by allowing users to self-solve issues or allowing DEX to self-heal problems without user intervention at all. For asset managers, we can reduce hardware and software spend by providing application usage and device health data to ServiceNow's hardware and software asset management solutions. Unused licenses can be reclaimed. Hardware refresh can be based on device performance rather than a calendar. And because DEX is part of the ServiceNow platform, we continue to identify new use cases across all our other capabilities, and we continue to build those out as it makes sense in the product lifecycle. So now that we have a high-level view of why DEX as a practice is important and what ServiceNow is doing at a high level, let's look at some of the components that make up the solution and start getting into the new capabilities for DEX. So the DEX solution from ServiceNow consists of applications, services, and browser extensions installed on end-user computers and applications that are enabled on the ServiceNow instance. The desktop assistant application is installed on the end user computer and runs in the menu bar on Mac OS and in the tray for Windows. It facilitates notification, engagements, and it stays authenticated to the ServiceNow instance. It also has some simple troubleshooting tools I'll talk about a little bit more in a few minutes. This is the only part of DEX that an end user directly interacts with. A specific version of our midless agent client collector runs as a service on the device. It facilitates data collection for the device, the operating system, specified installed applications, and the network from the device point of view. And last, we install some browser extensions for Chrome and Edge to measure SaaS application performance for the URLs you define. We surface all the DEX data and capabilities in Service Operations Workspace. I'll review those in the next slides, and Eleanor will demonstrate the capabilities in the demo that follows. So Desktop Assistant is where end users connect with DEX. Easy to access troubleshooting tools with recommendations on what to do about what's found just a click away. Launching Employee Center from Desktop Assistant is friction-free because it's authenticated already. So you can get to Employee Center quickly to get to all of the services and offerings that are available from your organization. With Virtual Agent built into Desktop Assistant, accessing catalogs, knowledge articles, and creating an incident is easier than ever. From within the Desktop Assistant, Virtual Agent uses Now Assist to help end users resolve issues, request services, request items, get knowledge summaries, and engage directly with the service desk. It's also bidirectional, and this allows the service desk to actively engage with an user from an incident when working on a problem that users had, or to send notifications for a major incident to a specific group of users. With metric rules, users are automatically notified about a potential problem on their device before it becomes an impacting issue, or they can receive instructions or automated scripts to mitigate the issue. The first new feature we'll review is notifications for Desktop Assistant. Notifications allow users to be informed about important events, updates, or even service outages. Many push notification systems fail to achieve their potential due to issues such as lack of configuration, poor prioritization, and excessive interruptions. Nobody wants a noisy notification tool. In our previous release, notifications could only be surfaced within the Desktop Assistant app or within the Employee Center. Today, we're using push notifications delivered to the desktop and the Notification Center in macOS and Windows. ServiceNow Dex allows custom notifications to be sent to targeted audiences from a single user or group to an entire company. Notifications can be scheduled as well as configured with title, description, and URL. End users are proactively notified of potential problems with applications and devices. Issue remediation can be initiated silently, or an end user can be directly engaged by the service desk with assistance or instructions to mitigate the problem. Major incident notifications can also be delivered to employees via Desktop Assistant to help employees avoid impact to their daily work. Application and device health allows DEX engineers to monitor application and device performance and usage, as well as proactively diagnose and remediate user issues. Rules are easy to set up, and end user engagement can be triggered automatically based on this metric data. The next new feature we'll discuss is Digital Experience Score. This is kind of one of my favorites. DEX Score effectively measures and consolidates quantitative and qualitative data to provide a holistic view into an organization's digital employee experience. It analyzes three key data sources: your monitored metrics from end user devices, user sentiment, and service desk experience. DEX Score provides IT leaders with quick insights into employee experience and application health. Having an overall score reduces the time spent trying to understand multiple points of data and enables action planning for organizational improvement. Basically, we do the triangulation for you. The overall score gives you the widest view and lets you track your performance over time while keeping your target visible. Separate device and application scores help narrow the focus of in case one of the other is really a heavy contributor to the score, whether it's bringing it up or bringing it down. And it also allows you to determine if you need to get a service owner involved or revisit XLAs for your applications or hardware. DEX surveys provide an easy outlet for employees to share feedback about their digital experience, and it also allows digital workplace leaders to quickly identify employee pain points that may not directly correlate to other metrics. With DEX Score, IT and digital leaders will have better insight into employee experience and the tools and data to make informed action plans when that experience isn't up to standard. Let's have another poll. Poll 2. We're not done. I've got 2 more slides to share, and then we're going to get into the demo. And we just want to know, based on what you're seeing, is this looking like something that can help your company? Do you see any value in this out of the gate, or does this look like it's not hitting any marks for you? And again, the faster you click, the faster we'll move off of this poll and get to the next feature, which I know is why you're here. You want to see what's coming or what's available, what's new. %45. Little ways to go, folks. I want to see 60%. Let's see 60% before we talk about closing this poll out. 48. We're getting close. Another 15 people. 15 people, I think
Almost
we got
there.
this. Nearly there, folks. Who's holding out on me?
We're almost there. Just give
Just a
10 more
couple, just a
seconds.
couple more. All right, G2, let's call it. That's as close as we're gonna
Yeah.
get. That's a good feedback. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your participation. It looks like we've got a good percentage, 82% see use in what we're showing, 18% don't. Those 18% that don't, in the feedback at the end of the session, there should be an option for you to leave some direct feedback. We would love, love, love to hear what you have to say. For folks who don't see the value in what we're showing, that is really critical for us to figure out what we can do better or do differently or do period that we haven't shown you so far. All right, let's move to the next topic. Service Desk Incident Investigation. The Incident Investigation Framework lets agents see the state of the device, both at the time the incident was created, as well as perform live investigation of the device's state, as well as providing direct access to the actions library to quickly apply available remediations. This is where we're able to, in real time, take action, interrogate an end user device, as well as see what the state was when the incident was created to find a correlation or to see that the issue is resolved itself. The third new feature we'll talk about is application network experience. SaaS applications are difficult to troubleshoot on the best of days because agents frequently aren't on the same network as the user. You don't have access to view the network path between the user and the application server. The current troubleshooting process is time consuming. It requires multiple tools and manual correlation of data points. The result is almost always frustration and inefficiency for the service desk and reduced productivity and satisfaction for the employee. Application network experience monitors performance metrics like latency, packet loss, round trip time, and network jitter. Data visualization and analysis enables easy to understand views and sharing and diagnosing of issues. With network path visualization, identifying the bottlenecks is much easier. With that, we're going to hand it over to Eleanor for the demo and see what this looks like in real life.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sean. Let's see. Can
Thanks,
everyone
Eleanor. We
see?
see your screen.
Perfect. You knew that's what I was going to ask.
I
All
know
right.
it's always same for me.
Well, that was a fantastic overview. I really am so excited about all the features that we've released in the Yokohama version. So what you're looking at right now is my screen, and I have Desktop Assistant brought up as an example of kind of the employee view of all of the data that Dex is collecting. First, I'm going to start with this employee experience of Dex data, and then I'll go into the central IT operator's view of all of the data and all of the solutions that Sean gave us a insight into earlier. So from the Desktop Assistant, here's where employees can really look and see into the operation of their device. So they can look at device health, see what the kind of what the status of their device is, if it's running slowly or if they notice there's any issues. You can identify any applications that are and processes that are currently running. And you know, if you have been practicing good health in restarting your computer. You can also network test. I'm here in the office in San Francisco, and honestly, we're having a little bit slow network here. So if I start to sound like a robot, it's because I came into the office. So that's been helpful for me this morning, knowing that it's the network I'm connected to. And then they can also connect to their employee center through, here if they want to see what's going on, you know, for the latest for their organization, as well as view the push notifications that Sean highlighted earlier. If I had any push notifications coming in here, they would, coming in for this device, they would show up here as a list. And then if I notice any issues, I can try and self-serve here by leveraging our virtual agent integration with Now Assist. So with that, I'm going to get started and kind of show what it looks like from the employee point of view. I'm logged in here as Martin, our employee, and he notices that his laptop is operating slowly. So he just enters in exactly what the issue is, you know, in just kind of natural language. And that prompts virtual agent to look in and see what could be the possible issue. So it recognizes a topic that it already has a solution for and offers to do some quick troubleshooting. So here we're going to walk through and see the Now Assist virtual agent reach back and leverage the data that Dex has been collecting and storing on the ServiceNow platform. So first it checks disk space and memory. Seems like Martin is running low on the disk space. Virtual agent offers up a knowledge article for how he could self-serve here, but that's not what Martin needed from a help perspective. So virtual agent then offers to run some additional checks. And it's going to go back and again, go to the ServiceNow cloud and see what else could be going on with Martin. So just like we saw on my device, we can see here are the different processes that are running for Martin. And are there any applications perhaps that are using a lot of CPU or memory that could be killed? But that is not what Martin needs. So again, virtual agent offers to do some final checks, and it'll see if there's any other possible causes for Martin's device on what could be causing his laptop to operate slowly. So it seems like it's been over a month since he restarted. And so the recommendation to restart your system, just like if you were talking to a live agent, they always say, you know, can you restart your computer, turn it off and on? So he's able to go through all these steps, and that's not what he wants, but because he's already gone through these steps, when he's connected to a live agent, they will be able to see everything he's already done, and then leverage that to really get him help in a faster manner. Moving on, as I said, that was something, 1 minute, I may need to relog in here. So as the central IT persona, we have Kellen Greenfelder. So he's our central IT, what we're going to say, you know, digital workplace engineer. And he's responsible for the overall organization's operation. So you can see here on his service operations workspace landing page, all of the users and the devices that he's tracking for the entire organization across all geographies that they operate. And then because it's ServiceNow, you can continually dive down deeper into eventually the individual device. But essentially all of the data that he needs is available here. Additionally, from the Insights page, we can see the different automated insights overview of anything that is the team is tracking. So we have battery health for device refresh. We have system compliance for any compliance policies that have been set up and rules. The system performance recently, and system uptime, as we just saw how that can impact your device. So with battery health, we can, if I sort here, this will be fine. We'll go into about a device that's operating suboptimally. And this is the overview of the device itself. We can see, you know, which device we're talking about, what its operating system is, and where it's located. All of the device health metrics that we're currently tracking, any pending system updates that might be operating in the background. We can also see their system compliance for anything that we're tracking here. This is doing pretty well, it looks like. and then any processes that are running in the background for this device. What we recently have added for the Yokohama release is these performance metrics here. We can see the memory usage, the CPU usage, and disk usage. So if there is a problem with this device, as we saw, maybe battery performance, we can dive into it, as well as the battery percentage over time, energy usage and consumption, and then Wi-Fi transmit and receive rates. As Sean highlighted earlier, part of the Yokohama release are these application network experience. So we can see all the connection details. We can see really where this device is connected into the internet, into the cloud, and then the application connection stability. If we look at a SaaS application here, we can see any network latency, packet loss, or network jitter, as well as the app connection path. So in this manner, we can really see what is that end user experience when they're trying to go along and do their daily job. So that was part of the Yokohama release, as well as this digital experience score. So if I do, let's do last week. So if the digital experience score here is a combination of the device and application experience across your organization. And again, because it's ServiceNow, you can see how there's different experiences across geographies, and then a drill in. And then for each of these different components, we can drill in and see what the difference is. So on devices, we can see if we go to, let's see, Windows here, what is the issue with Windows from the device health metrics that we're collecting with DEX, the user sentiment from any user sentiment surveys that have been sent out for responses, and then the service experience. So there's 53 incidents associated with this application, and what is causing these poor service experience scores. Similarly to device, we can do the same analysis with application experience. So again, this score is calculated from a combination of the DEX metrics that are being collected, the user sentiment, and the service desk. And then the weighting is, of course, configurable to match your organization. And then if we, again, choose a application, here we have the SaaS application. We can see how the DEX metrics that are being collected are performing, as well as user sentiment and the responses, and then the service experience. So with this many closed incidents, perhaps there's an issue with the application. So while there's so much more that I would love to dive deeply into, the focus for today's session was really what's new in Yokohama, and we're so excited to be able to highlight our DEX experience score, application network monitoring, and the push notifications that were released in Yokohama. So with that, I'll turn it back to Sean.
Great, thanks, Eleanor. Fantastic demo, appreciate it. At this point, we are ready for any additional questions. So if you have questions that you haven't asked, if you want to raise a hand and we can take you off mute, and you're welcome to ask live if you want. Looks like we've answered all the questions that came across the Q&A, and it looks like any questions that were in the chat also got answered, but anything that's on your mind, we would love to hear from you. Oh yes, okay, so we've got one, I'll answer live Q&A. Are there any AI capabilities coming up? So we're not talking specifically about future looking in this call, but since we did run the safe harbor at the beginning, I will say yes, there are some AI capabilities coming up. There's already AI capabilities built in with Virtual Assistant. We have our built-in Now Assist that's a part of that and can provide summaries and both directions, summaries for KB articles, summaries for a chat that goes back into the incident, and there is additional AI capability across the ServiceNow platform that's coming. And we've announced some of that already for the Yokohama release. But yeah, that's definitely happening. Next question, I'll hit that. When are we getting these slides? Is there a roadmap feature? Set slide, curious what was it, and be able to. So there's no roadmap as part of this presentation. These slides will be published to the community site within a couple of days, usually 3 days after the session. And so the slides and the recording and details from this session will be available on the community site. I'll have that link up again in just a second. Another question, any documentation on DEX score computation? Great question. So yes, there is. And on the screen, there is actually, Eleanor, are you in a spot where you could share that? That would be a good one to share live and we could see it in real time. Maybe.
Yes, happy to. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'll hand it back to you to share that. But yeah, there is some documentation both in our documents as well as on the DEX score screen. So Eleanor, I'll let you take this.
And remind me exactly what feature would we like to explore?
So on the right hand side of the screen, question mark to the right of the DEX score calculation. This guy right here, how is DEX score calculated? So this shows you how it's being calculated in this instance. And then also you can make adjustments to how the DEX score is weighted and which aspects are taken into consideration. Okay, thanks, Eleanor. That's perfect. What's the typical resource overhead and performance impact for workstations running this application? Love that, Matt. So typically we see less than 1% CPU and a little bit of memory. The ACC, the Agent Client Collector, is configurable to determine how many concurrent queries it runs. So you can limit it to a number that you like. We also limit the CPU utilization, and that's configurable as well. We, by default, set it to, I think it's 10% or less CPU. No, it's 10 items, 10 concurrent queries. And I don't remember what the CPU utilization is, whether it's single digit or 10%. But
5% shown, and that is
5%.
configurable.
Thank you, G2. 5% CPU by default and configurable, so you can lower it if you want to. One of the things that has been really important to us in creating DEX is to recognize that it makes absolutely no sense for an organization to deploy a solution that's designed to enhance user experience if that solution is going to use resources that degrade the performance. And so, we collect the minimum amount of information and query the minimum number of attributes that are necessary to compute the data and provide the answer. There are some competitors in the marketplace that are querying 15,000 points, and they're really proud of how much they can query, and it's amazing that they can do that. We're able to do it with a lot less than that, which means there's a lot less overhead on the machines. Any plans for DEX to support CSM? Great question. Currently, I don't know of any, but we're going to take that back in because now that you've asked it, we'll go fishing and see if anybody else is asking and what other possibilities there are there. We love connecting our products internally in the platform to each other. It's really what having a real platform is about. Can DEX auto-assign assets to users it sees logging in? No. DEX is not a discovery tool. And so for a device, for an asset to be associated, so in ServiceNow in the user profile, users are associated with CIs with their device. And if they aren't, we'll still show who's logged into the device, but it doesn't automatically associate them. Maybe that's something we should consider, but the challenge is some of our customers have devices that are used by multiple people. And so if you have 5 people using the same piece of hardware, it would be difficult to allocate it or assign it to a particular user in that scenario. Is there any limitation on the verbiage that goes on user notification messages. Yeah, there absolutely is. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. G2, do you have that? Basically, number of characters for a desktop alert?
I don't see fantastic limitation, but I think we can go back and check.
Yeah,
I have,
yeah. Sridhar, we'll check that and get back to you on that. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. There definitely is a limitation because each OS will limit the number of characters that can be landed in one of those pop-up messages because they are OS level messages.
good question.
Yeah, great question. Mobile devices. Sridhar, oh, you're killing me. No, we don't do mobile devices at this time. It's something that we're examining and may consider in the future, but today it's not something we're doing and not something we're chasing particularly hard. Keep your eyes open though, that might change. Other questions, folks? This
Yeah,
is
so
great.
Sean, there was a consistent question on licensing. Do you want to just quickly touch base how licensing work for DEX? I mean, just on a
Yeah,
high level on
absolutely.
SEOs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. So the way we're licensing DEX and the way we're marketing DEX is high level. DEX needs ITSM to operate. And so we don't, in the ServiceNow store where DEX can be purchased, we don't require ITSM, but the reality is without ITSM, you're not going to get anything out of DEX. And so you need ITSM standard Pro or Enterprise or Pro Plus or Enterprise Plus to get the capabilities from DEX. When you buy DEX, you're buying DEX based on subscription units. One subscription unit equals 4 endpoints or end user devices. So each end user computer you have is 1/4 of a subscription unit. And subscription unit is available. There are a number of products we sell in this way. And so when you set up to order this, you're going to determine the number of endpoints you want to monitor, and you'll be licensed for that number of 1/4 of that number of subscription units. Sridhar has come back. Can we enable DEX on a developer instance to get some hands-on? No, not exactly. But if you can get in touch with your account team, we can organize a proof of value for customers where we can set up an instance and provide access to get some hands-on. We do this all the time, and we understand the complexity of DEX for us is that it is using our ServiceNow shared services platform, which is something that every time it stands up, it's a significant cost. And so it isn't something that we can just simply open up to the world and make it a free for all. Like a lot of the other stuff where we can stand up a ServiceNow instance in Amazon and AWS, and the cost is negligible for us to do that. For shared services, it's a completely different animal because of the time-based or the time series database. Oh, anonymous attendee, what percentage of users actually check their device health based on your current data? So I can't tell you based on our current data what that is. What I can say is that in my own observation, in 30 years of being in this industry, it is a very low percentage of end users who are going to go troubleshoot their own device. The vast majority of people simply want their stuff to work. Which is why we're really focused on providing proactive remediation based on triggers and monitoring, rather than end users trying to troubleshoot and fix their own device. Let's be honest. A company doesn't hire an accountant so they can troubleshoot their laptop. They hire an accountant because they need an accountant. And so when that accountant has a problem with their device, they need the support organization to manage it. Better yet, they need it to manage itself and not have that issue, which is what we're really targeting with DEX. Autonomous self-repair is really the target for all of this and really where we're headed. And so yeah, I love that question. It's a very low percentage. But we have the tools there because there are users who want that and will do that. And because organizations want to empower and enable their users to do that on their own if they can. And that's a reality. What percentage of push notifications about device health are actually solved by users. Conversely, how many of those notifications end up as a contact with a human? Great question. Right now, in the current stage of decks in the marketplace overall, it's still a pretty high percentage that end up with as contact with a human. In the next 6 to 9 months, there's going to be a massive shift in the number that end up as contact with a human. It's going to drop very, very rapidly. And that's a result of having the ability to proactively remediate and engage directly with automation. And it isn't necessarily AI, it's having automation do the job on the endpoint. We have that capability today, and we're seeing really good results with it. But it's a great question. Today, right today, this moment, it's a higher percentage than we would like, and it's a much higher percentage than it will be in the very near future. Matt, is there a minimum commitment? Does it need to be all of your devices in the enterprise? Can you start with a subset of phase one devices? Great question. It isn't all or nothing. You can start with a subset of your devices and work in. We have a number of customers who have done that successfully. It's been extremely useful for them to prove that it works for them and to understand how it works before making the huge commitment. So yeah, absolutely something that customers are doing. We support that. What languages are currently supported for end user experience? So this is currently configured across our localization. So the platform localization is complete. So all the languages we support on the platform and on the desktop, same. So it's localized for whichever languages we currently support. I can't list them off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's absolutely supported. Who else, guys? Who else? I'm on a roll. I'm feeling hot. This is great, and thank you for all of the questions. You guys are fuel for this. I really appreciate it. All's quiet. Chris, G2, Eleanor, Lindsay, anything that you guys saw that we might want to touch, or other questions? Oh, they're coming in. Great, Mike. Quickest time to value adds. So your fastest time to value is two pieces. It's the monitoring and getting the data back into the platform to understand where the pain points are and creating automations around them, and the DEX score to understand where the pain points are across the organization at a higher level. Those two things happen very quickly when we start ingesting data and populating tables and building those reports. Yay. So the value of DEX beyond VA appears to be more in the infrastructure and device management. Looking at our current contacts, 70% plus minus are not for those topics. Where's the value when we get into apps and account management? Let me just digest that for a second. Or infrastructure device.
I think what I understand is, Sean, someone is trying to understand what's the value using text kind of solution in the infrastructure side versus end user devices.
So I'll just say, when we say infrastructure, I'm always talking about back-end infrastructure, servers, network, device management being end user devices. And so most of your contacts aren't for devices or infrastructure, but they're for application. And so what DEX is doing is we're measuring application performance on the device. And application performance is always more than just the application. It's a combination of the application, the device capabilities, your CPU, your memory, your disk, and in many cases also network. And with DEX, we're able to correlate the data across all of those topics, as opposed to just looking at one of them, like device capabilities, and saying, well, the device is maxed out all the time. Why is that? With DEX, we're able to look at the device class or the group of devices that are all identical and running the same software or maybe different versions of the same software and identify, well, there's a version that is performing poorly on this class of device, and highlight that and get you value by identifying, yeah, there are 3,000 of these laptops in your environment that have this version of an application on them and is performing badly. And so we're correlating the data across the device and the software or the application to get to the root of what the real problem is and say, okay, well, it's this version. This other version of the same application is working fine on that class of device, and there's no issue. So this group of people we need to change the version of the software they're running. But it's a great question. That's a piece of this. I think we've talked a lot about device, and I think that's because all of the applications live on the device. The user interacts with the device, but the device by itself isn't just hardware. It's hardware, it's network, it's applications, it's permissions and configuration. And what DEX really does well is take all of that into account and triangulate that data to provide a view that lets admins and support folks really understand what they're trying to fix and what the problem is. Really, it's getting to the root cause a lot faster. Any metrics to support ROI on establishing desk? Yeah, Satoshi, absolutely. We have this integrated with benchmarks, and we're able to identify incident deflection, both incidents that are created by end users using DEX, incidents that are prevented by end users using DEX. We're able to track the automated remediations and identify how many automatic remediations are taking place versus remediations even that fail. So when we have an automatic remediation that tries to execute and maybe it executes successfully, but it doesn't resolve the problem. So we're tracking all of that. That's all available in the platform in benchmarks for customers to see and understand what their ROI is by establishing DEX. Best feature, ones we should promote the most. Wow. God, I like DEX Score. Other people might differ with me, Mike. The reason I like DEX Score is that it's able to highlight things that users don't report. And I'll give you an example. Say your organization uses an external survey tool, and you get a survey every quarter from your leadership. Everyone goes out, they get an email, they click on the link to the survey, and they fill out the survey. And the idea from the survey is for leadership to understand how employees are feeling. How are we doing? Are there problems that employees are experiencing? Well, say everybody clicks this link to go do the survey, and 90% of the clicks result in a web lookup failure. And what that looks like to the end user is that the page didn't load. So what does the user do? Well, they click the link again or they reload the page. And on the second time, it works almost every time. No one opens an incident about that. No one complains about it. It's just part of using the internet. With DEX Score and application monitoring, and we're able to identify all of these failed web lookups for this one link that went out all at once, and it impacts the DEX score and the application score for users. That can be surfaced in the application score. So then you can correlate that back to the service provider, and the person who bought that service can then go to the service provider and say, hey, we launched this survey. Our 4,000 employees all had a bad experience when they clicked the link. We can see it's not on our end. We want to talk about service credits, or we want to talk about improving it so it doesn't happen next time. And that's something that you're never going to see otherwise. But it impacts experience and it impacts perception of how employees experience working at a company. So that's the one that I like. I think that, other people might like different things. I mean, proactive engagement is really cool too. Being able to self-heal a device as it's having a problem, also extremely cool. But I'm going to stick with Score. I think DEX Score is really really powerful. How many data centers would be needed to use DEX independent of the users? Percy, not positive I understand the question.
Same. I
So
think this question is still difficult to decode.
yeah, Percy, if you want to drop something in the chat and clarify that, I'd love to touch it if we can. Mike, what's the line between ITOM Pro, event management, and DEX? Great question.
Great question.
So,
Absolutely.
yep, I love
Go
that.
on.
So DEX is completely encapsulated as a product. All of the event management you need for DEX is part of the SKU and part of that purchase. It does not include event management like you have in ITOM Pro for infrastructure devices. And so your event management that's part of ITOM Pro is a different product. It does not do DEX, and DEX does not do event management for infrastructure that way. And so another way we could say it is, yeah, it's very similar use cases on different classes of devices. So a good example is take a big company, you might have 20,000 employees, you don't have 20,000 servers. And so it's just a completely different animal. But yeah, that's really the difference. What's the value outside infrastructure? It's entirely outside infrastructure. So as I mentioned before, when I say infrastructure, servers, networking, disk, all of DEX is about end user and end user device and the end user experience. And so it really is about what's happening between the end user and the work they need to accomplish. How are they feeling about it? Are they having a good time? Are they able to accomplish the work without a ton of friction from the equipment that they're using or the software that they're using? So the value is we're reducing the amount of crashes on the end user device, whether it's hardware or software crashes. We're reducing the friction necessary for end users to get information and engage with additional company resources. The direct link to Employee Center is huge. You open Desktop Assistant, you click the Employee Center link, and you're instantly in the Employee Center with all of the capabilities that have been built out there. You have the virtual agent chat right in the Desktop Assistant to get knowledge article summaries, whether it's about technology or not technology. You can pop in that my paycheck wasn't right, and get help on your paycheck right out of virtual assistant in Desktop Assistant. So it isn't all about technology. That's one piece of it. Where's the nexus between DEX and virtual machines devices? Great. So VDIs, we support persistent VDIs with DEX today, and we are working on solutions for non-persistent VDIs for release later this year. And so we absolutely support it. We know a lot of our customers and current customers using DEX have VDIs in their workplace. And so we're providing the same type of information for those users to identify the performance issues, make sure that things are working as expected, and to track that and log that back into the ServiceNow instance for service desk agents, engineers, and leadership to understand where the pain points are and what challenges users are experiencing. Mike, if you have ITOM Pro customer, what's the DEX use case since they can do that for end user compute in ITOM? But they can't. So if you're thinking ITOM visibility and the ability to see devices, you can get information. But the interaction layer that DEX provides, you have the entire proactive engagement layer, you have the desktop alerts, you have the desktop assistant capability, which isn't part of ITOM. They're really two completely different solutions. And so in the case of ITOM Pro, you think the ACC, you have ACC for visibility maybe, which is also subscription units, but that is used entirely on infrastructure devices, not end user compute. I don't know that we have any customers using that for end user compute. And it's really not intended for end user compute that way. And so they're really,
or one of our favorite DEX core, Sean.
sorry?
One of our favorite DEX score, which is something of unique preparation in DEX.
Thank you. Yeah, DEX score not part of ITOM at all. So there definitely is a difference, and there's a differentiation both in capability and intent. Assistant is beyond virtual agent use cases. So desktop assistant is a bidirectional communication. So you have virtual agent, you have your friction-free link into ECC. You have the troubleshooting capabilities that are built in, but Desktop Assistant is also where the alerts are coming through. And so Desktop Assistant on a 2-minute schedule is reaching out to the ServiceNow instance and looking for any alerts that need to come back to the user, or any jobs that it needs to perform on behalf of the instance. So if you have a proactive remediation, say you want to run a script on the end user device to fix something, Desktop Assistant is what's going to pick up that script and run it, or do that query for you to interrogate the device. So yeah, Desktop Assistant is definitely more than just virtual agent. Additionally, you can create additional cards for Desktop Assistant to do other things. And this is a capability that we're it's available today, and we're continuing to develop it and do more with it.
Yeah, and we cannot ignore the Now Assist within Desktop Assistant, which is really a good proposition.
Yep. Also Now Assist within Desktop Assistant. Yeah. So
Great
folks,
question, Sounds.
this is great. So we're about 2 minutes to the top of the hour where we need to close this up. I want to first thank everyone for joining us today. This has been an absolute fantastic session. I've enjoyed it. I appreciate all of your questions and participation. One more time, I want to plug for the next for additional events that are coming. We have more live on ServiceNow events happening every day. Please hit the link, hit the QR code, and check out our next DEX sessions. Again, every month we'll be running DEX sessions in live on ServiceNow for different things. It'll be implementation, it'll be using DEX, it'll be onboarding your devices, configuration. Every aspect of DEX we'll be covering throughout the year. Every month we'll do a new session though. Please join us. And again, thank you for your participation and for being part of the ServiceNow community. We wouldn't be here if not for you. Have a great day, everyone.